Fractional exponents to radical expressions. Let's go ahead and crank this out. So what we're going to do is we are always going to start with an expression that has a fraction as an exponent. Okay? And then we are going to change that expression that has a fraction as an exponent. And we're going to change it into a radical expression. All right? And then, after we change it into the radical expression, what we're going to do, thirdly, is we are going to evaluate the expression. Sometimes you'll see the word simplify to do it, okay? So let's start off with 25 to the 2/3 exponent. Okay, that is what we mean as a fractional as an exponent. Okay, fraction as an exponent. To convert this expression into radical form, what you do is you draw the radical symbol, which is that symbol right there. Some people call it the square root symbol, and that's not necessarily incorrect, but it's not always referred to as the square root symbol. But you draw that symbol, that's the radical symbol. Whatever number is in the denominator of the exponent, which is a 3, you put that right there in the radical. That is called the index. Then inside the radical symbol, you're going to take the base of the exponent, which is 25. You're going to put that inside the radical symbol, and that 25 is going to have an exponent, and the exponent is going to be whatever the numerator is of your fraction. That's an exponent. So 25 to the 2/3 exponent in radical expression would be the radical symbol with an index of 3, 25 to the 2nd power. All right? Okay. Then, to evaluate the expression, what you do is that to evaluate, you are going to calculate. So you're going to use your calculator using the fraction exponent expression. Fraction exponent expression. Okay? So, in other words, you are going to go back to the 8 to the 2/3 power, and then you are going to type that into your calculator. 8 to the 2/3 power. We're going to go back to that. I'm sorry, 25 to the 2/3 power. That's the expression that you're going to use into your calculator. Okay? And you're going to evaluate it. You're going to tell me what it equals. So I go to my calculator mode. You type in the base, which is 25. You press the exponent function on your calculator. It may vary. Mine here is the one with the A and the B. And then you type in the fraction 2/3 in parentheses. It's best if you put the 2/3 in parentheses, and you can see 25 to the 2/3 exponent is 8.549879733. I'm just going to round it to 8.5. So 25 to the 2/3 power becomes 8.5. Okay, that would be the first example of how to take a fraction that's an exponent, how to change it in the radical expression. Let's do it again. Let's do another one. How about, let's do 256 with a fraction as an exponent of 3/4. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to change this into radical form. So I draw the radical symbol. The denominator of my exponent, which is a 4, becomes my index of my radical symbol. The 256, which is the base of my exponent, goes inside the radical symbol. And then that 256 is going to have an exponent, and it's going to be the numerator of my exponent from over here, 3. So I would get the 4th root of 256 to the 3rd power. Okay, now I'm going to evaluate, so I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to type in my fraction as an exponent form into my calculator. So I'm going to type in 256 to the 3/4 exponent, and I'm going to see what that equals to evaluate it. So I type in the 256 first. Then you use your exponent function, which mine is at AB. Then you go parentheses and type in the fraction, 3/4. And you can see the answer is 64. Okay, so evaluating 256 to the 3/4 power, that is equal to the whole number, 64. Let's do it again. Let's do another one. 144 with an exponent of a fraction of 1/2. Let's convert this into radical form. I draw the radical symbol. The denominator of the exponent is a 2, and I'm going to put that as the index. But if the index is a 2, you do not write it. It's invisible. It's implied that that's a 2. I take the 144, the base of the exponent. That goes inside my radical symbol, and that 144 is going to have an exponent, and it's going to be a 1. But if the exponent is a 1, you don't bother writing it. So if the index is a 2, don't write it. It's implied that it's a 2 if the exponent is a 1. So then this problem becomes the square root of 144. Now I'm going to evaluate it. So I take my fraction exponent form, 144 to the 1/2 exponent, and I put that into my calculator to evaluate. So I type in the base, 144, I use my exponent key, and then I'm going to do parentheses, and I'm going to do the fraction 1/2. Whoops, and you can see the answer is 12. So 144 to the 1/2 power, when I evaluate it, turns out to be 12. All right? Let's do one more, just for fun, to make sure that we get it. Okay, so the last one that I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate 8 to the 2/3 power. I actually believe this is one of your homework problems. So I'm going to change this into radical form. So I draw the radical symbol. The index numbers, the denominator of my exponent, so that's a 3. The base of the exponent, the 8, I put inside the radical symbol. And then that 8 has an exponent of 2, which is the numerator of my exponent. So I get the 3rd index of 8 to the 2nd power. We would call it the cube root of 8 to the 2nd power. Now I'm going to evaluate that. So to evaluate it, I'm going to use my fraction exponent form, 8 to the 2/3 power. And I type that into my calculator. So you type in the 8 first, you type in the base first, then you use your exponent key, my AB key, then you go parentheses, and then you type in the fraction 2/3. So 8 to the 2/3 power is equal to 4. Okay? 4. There we go, you guys. There's examples of how to change, convert something that has an exponent, that's a fraction, into radical expression, into a radical expression, and then how to evaluate an expression that has an exponent as a fraction.